See, API అనేది definition నీకు తెలుసు, application
Program interface.
programming interface,
Yeah.
right? What is application? A piece of code that is running on your system with some technology, కదా? Correct.
Hmm.
Programming, that. Interface అంటే what is interface? Okay.
Something that
నీకు
connects to applications.
ఓకే నీకు సింపుల్ గా అర్థమయ్యేదానికి నీకు ఒకటి చెప్తాను నేను. ఇప్పుడు నీకు ఈ కాఫీ మిషన్ ఉంది.
Hmm.
కాఫీ మిషన్ లో టీ, కాఫీ, క్యాపుచినో
Yeah.
3 ఉంది. ఓకేనా?
Hmm.
సో దిస్ ఈజ్ యువర్ అప్లికేషన్.
Hmm.
దిస్ ఈజ్ యువర్ అప్లికేషన్.
Hmm.
నువ్వు బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ లో నీకు డూ యూ రియలీ కేర్ వాట్స్ హ్యాపెనింగ్? బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ లో నీకు, ఓకే, దాంట్లో వాడు చక్కెర పెడతాడు, షుగర్ పెడతాడు, అది పెడతాడు, నీకు ఏమేమేమో ఉంటాయి దీంట్లో. ఓకే,
Hmm.
దీంట్లో బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ లో నీకు ఏమేమో ఉంటుంది. అల్టిమేట్ గా నీకు ఏమొస్తుంది చెప్పు?
Tea, coffee, cappuccino.
ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ, కాఫీ వస్తుంది, అంతేనా?
Hmm.
సో నువ్వేం చేస్తావు? ఇక్కడ టీ కొడతావు, లేదా కాఫీ కొడతావు, క్యాపుచినో కొడతావు, లోపల చేయాల్సిన పనులన్నీ చేసి నీకు అవుట్పుట్ ఏమి ఇస్తుంది? కాఫీ ఇస్తుంది. దిస్ ఇస్
Coffee.
యువర్ కాఫీ,
Yeah.
కదా? సో ఏంది, ఏమైనా డౌట్ ఉందా?
No.
నో. సో దిస్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్.
Okay.
అంటే ఏమి? ఆ బటన్ ఉందే, బటన్ ఈజ్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్. పోనీ ఇంకొక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ తీసుకో. యూ గో టు టీవీ రిమోట్ కంట్రోల్ ఉంది, ఆ టీవీ ఆపరేట్ చేస్తావు, లేదా ఎనీథింగ్ యూ ఆపరేట్, ఓకే, దట్ ఈస్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్. ఇది లేమన్ టర్మ్ ఇది.
Hmm.
బట్ ఇన్ అవర్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఇది అర్థమైంది. బట్ తెలుగులో చెప్పాలా, ఇంగ్లీష్ చెప్పాలా? ఎందుకంటే నువ్వు వేరే వాళ్ళ ఎవరినో చూపించుకోవాలంటే కూడా ఇంగ్లీష్ బాగుంటుంది.
Yeah. English లోనే చెప్పండి.
యా. సో నౌ లెట్స్ టాక్ అబౌట్ అనదర్.
Ah.
ఓకే, let's talk about a different thing. Suppose this is your server. Okay,
Okay.
this is your server. Okay, and on this server you have a piece of code running.
Okay.
Okay, what this does is it will take whatever the message that you send, okay,
Ah.
and then store it in the database.
Okay.
Okay, I'm giving a simple example.
Hmm.
Okay, let's take Twitter. This is your Twitter example.
Hmm.
Now what do? You log in from your machine,
Hmm.
okay,
Hmm.
and then you open the browser, and then you say, so you send a message. What happens is this Twitter takes that message and puts it into your database. Okay,
Hmm.
so how are you communicating with this Twitter? How are you communicating with this Twitter? You are communicating with an HTTP protocol,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The HTTP protocol is used for communicating, packaging your message, and then sending it to the other machine or other server. It's a process communication, right?
Hmm.
So, but how are you? Do you know how the Twitter has been written, the code?
No.
Some code they have written. They would have written in Python, C, C Sharp, whatever the language that they wish.
Huh.
So what you are doing is, your job is to call. What these guys do is they expose some methods. Okay,
Okay.
they expose a method called, you can call it as interface.
Okay.
Now this is like post. This is your delete
Okay.
or update.
Hmm.
So he will say that, okay, if you want to post any message to me which stores in the database eventually, what it says is, you have to call me like http blah 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 slash some version name slash post
Hmm.
message,
Hmm.
and then followed by your message. Okay,
Hmm.
so now this is called API. Okay, this is called API.
Okay.
Okay, na? So see, there are many types of APIs. Okay, in the world there are many types of APIs. Okay, first of all, I want you to understand what is an API, and with an example. So this is what an API. The API stands for communicating between two systems. communicating the information between two systems. Okay,
Hmm.
now, so for example, okay,
Hmm.
there are so many types you can create. I mean, there are API can be implemented in many ways. One is SOAP, or there is another thing called REST API,
Yeah.
another thing called GPRC, and then GraphQL. This is developed by Facebook,
Hmm.
and then Webhook undi. Then we have socket, WebSocket. See, these are all APIs. Okay,
Hmm.
these
Hmm.
are all APIs. Types of. I will write it as types of APIs. Okay.
Hmm.
Now I will tell you one by one. I'll explain you one by one. Suppose you have, okay, you are in an organization. Okay, it's an organization, right?
Hmm.
Before coming to this, I would like to introduce you something called monolithic application. Okay,
Hmm.
so that now you will understand the SOAP. If I
Hmm.
don't explain this, then you won't understand the SOAP.
Hmm.
Let me explain what is monolithic application. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
so monolithic application means, say for example, you wanted to create a inventory system or order processing system. Okay,
Hmm.
so what you will have an UI, right?
Hmm.
You will have an UI, and then maybe some what do you call business logic. Business logic you will write, and
Hmm.
then backend you will write what, a data access layer you will write, right?
Hmm.
Okay, access layer, and then typically you will use only one language in all these things.
Hmm.
You won't multiple languages,
Hmm.
and you create a package of it, maybe using a doc container or whatever the package. So you and make it as a zip file, and then what you do, this is your server. Okay,
Hmm.
and then you run it on the server.
Hmm.
You understand?
Hmm.
Okay, now very important thing that you need to understand is, on the server it will run in a single process.
Hmm.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? The red color is called process. Any doubt?
No, no, no.
So what do you mean by a process? Process is nothing but, in your server, in the RAM, it operating system allocates some chunk of memory for your application to run.
Okay.
Okay. So what happens is, whenever you create a request,
Hmm.
whenever you create a request, then this UI will send a message to message, meaning that it will call this function. Functional programming. It's
Hmm.
simply
Hmm.
a functional
Hmm.
program.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
This will call this, and then maybe this will insert the data into some database. Okay,
Hmm.
basically whatever it is. It can be HTTP protocol, or it can be desktop application. It doesn't matter.
Hmm.
I'm trying to explain you how this monolithic application works.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So what are the disadvantages? This The disadvantage is, for example, this is a single point of failure.
Yeah.
Why? Because suppose if this fails, some the bug in the code in data access layer. See, UI and business logic is working fantastically, but this data access layer is developed by some low level guy, some less experienced guy. Some issue comes, then what happens is, because it is running in a single process, what happens is the entire application will be down.
Hmm.
Correct?
Hmm.
So that is the point of failure. You agree?
Hmm. Hmm.
Second thing is, suppose if you see, you can also make this suppose scalable. You can make it scalable. How? You can create two more servers, right? You
Yeah.
can create two more servers, and then have a balancing load balancer, and then redirect your request to this load balancer, and then based on whichever is having less load, it will give you the connection.
Hmm.
But the problem is, again, this everything is talking to the same database.
Yeah.
Okay, and this database may be SQL Server.
Okay.
Okay, now what happens if this goes for a toss? Again, even though these applications are running, it is no use. Suppose I wanted to, you know, scale only the business layer, or I want to scale only the data access layer. I want to scale only the UI layer. It's not possible
Hmm.
because it is tightly coupled.
Hmm.
You understand?
Yeah.
So that's why what they did is no, this is not going to work. And చెప్పి ఏం చేశారు, then they come up with something called service oriented architecture.
Okay.
Okay. Service oriented architecture, which we used.
Hmm.
Name
Hmm.
is service oriented. I used both service oriented architecture and monolithic.
Hmm.
Most of the things when we work for a small company, we use monolithic, and then service oriented architecture we did it. See, what is service oriented architecture means? See, instead of, you know, how did you break up your application? You broke up your application with UI, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
You broke up your application with UI, right?
Hmm.
And then what? What else? Business logic and
Yeah.
data layer logic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So never do like this. They say that this creates a problem. Instead of that, you create a separation between domain. Okay. Before I continue, I'm not at all talking
About APIs.
case. No,
Yeah.
I am trying to build up a case
Yeah.
and bring you there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, service-oriented architecture, what do you mean by that? Service-oriented architecture means instead of having one bulk of idiotic monolithic application, why can't we divide them into modules? Okay,
Hmm.
so this is your application. Now, this is your application.
Hmm.
Now, what I'm doing it here, I am dividing it in terms of, say, for example, actual usage catalog or payment service. And then this is something credit card check, credit check, something like this.
Hmm.
Okay, now
Hmm.
got it?
Hmm.
Product. I'm say product. Earlier, you mixed up everything, payment to product to credit check, everything in a business layer,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So what you are doing is you are just dividing it to catalog. I mean, like this, something like this.
Hmm.
But still, you have a single database to interact with. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, how do these communicate each other? How do they communicate each other?
Yeah.
Correct. So
Uh.
that is a problem. Correct. Correct.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
That is what's called inter-process communication, or inter-service communication.
Hmm.
That is called inter-service communication.
Hmm.
Okay. How do they do it? You can do n number of ways.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
You can do using SOAP.
Okay.
You can do using REST API.
Okay.
You can do using GPRC.
Okay.
You can do using webhook. You can use using WebSocket. Okay. These are the different way of API that you can communicate to establish a connection between two processes.
Okay.
Okay.